Welcome to the Season 3 Reloaded top loadout video. There's a lot of buffs, a lot of unnecessary nerfs, and stuff that happened here within the Season 3 Reloaded update. So let's give you guys a top 5 style video for you guys to enjoy. If you guys enjoy it, make sure you guys give it a like, subscribe, those notifications turned on, and let's hop into it. Okay, so for one of the first guns I want to go over here today within this video is I want to give you guys a build here for the War MP5. So let's jump into this because a lot of other SMGs got some weird buffs and weird nerfs, and this gun's still going to be really competitive here. So let's give you guys a build to try out. So first thing in the muzzle category, of course, is going to be the agency suppressor. We've run the agency here for a long time on this gun, so we're still going to be running that here today. After that, we're going to go straight to the laser section, and we're going to throw on that beautiful Tiger Team Spotlight here for the increase in movement speed and aim walking movement speed. This is a really good option here for this gun, so I'd highly recommend you guys try this one out. After that, we're going to go straight to the underbarrel section. We're going to throw on the bruiser grip here to kind of double down on our movement with this gun, because that's kind of the key characteristics. This gun's not going to be super like hard hitting in terms of damage TTK, but when you can get that movement in there, it's going to be a very versatile gun. It's going to help you out, and you're going to win a lot of gunfights that maybe you really shouldn't otherwise. So especially also that stem kind of being broken now, I would definitely say that you definitely need a little bit more movement, and this is going to help out. In the magazine section though, we're going to go straight for that Stenag 50 round drum. Don't really need to go for that fast mag. It's not really worth it. I've tried it out, but I don't find there to be too much of an inherent benefit, so I'd really recommend just to stay with the Stenag 50 round drum. And then of course, to finish off this build here in the stock section, we got that beautiful Raider stock. I've tried to run this with the no stock attachment here, but I really don't feel like that's really that beneficial, so I just recommend to go for the Raider here. The increase in ADS for move speed and walking move speed, and of course that beautiful sprint to fire time. This is my full build here on the War MP5. Now let's move into our next gun here in this list. All right, next up, we're going to take a look at the STG-44. This is pretty much like the highest picked gun here in the entirety of Warzone, and they actually did not like but nerf this thing or even buff it. They kind of left it as is, which is a little bit crazy considering they touched some random guns like the AMAX. They nerfed that a little bit. Does not make sense. Don't ask me why, but let's hop into a build here for this thing so you guys can of course dominate Warzone. First thing, MX silencer. We're gonna run this here just kind of like always. I mean, there's no real reason to switch it up. In the barrel section, we're gonna give you the 760mm 05B barrel. This is what we've been running, and this is the most effective way you can use this gun, so run this. After that, in the underbarrel section, we're gonna go throw on the M19 to enhance stop, recoil control, and accuracy. You don't need to switch it out for anything else. This is just the perfect amount of recoil control. You also get no penalty in terms of your ADS or anything else like that, so it's a really good attachment. In the magazine section though, we're gonna go and throw on the 7.62 Gorenko 50 round mag. This is a really good attachment. I've been running this for quite a while now, and so I'd recommend it. In the ammunition side of things, we're gonna go throw on lengthened here for that increase in bullet velocity. It's better to make sure that your shots hit first at a longer range, because that's what it does. That's what the increase in bullet velocity is, because you know everything is a projectile in Warzone. It's not just hit scan where everything registers immediately. Obviously, you know that's just kind of how it has been for a while now. In the rear grip section here, we're not going to throw on polymer grip here for that flinch resistance and accuracy and recoil during sustained fire. This gun could definitely get bounced around a little bit when you're like getting shot at, so it's always good to be able to mitigate that here with some of these attachments, and the polymer grips can help us out with that. In the optic section, we go through on the G16 2.5x. So if you guys want to get a little bit more crazy with it, we can go down here just a little bit farther to go find what is, I believe it is the 3 to 6x scope down here, the SVT-40 PU scope. I personally don't ever use this one. I just always stick to the G16 just because, I mean, I play Rebirth and there's no real reason for me to use, you know, a 3 to 6x. I just don't really find it to be beneficial. I just like this and it works out fine. In the stock section, this is kind of where it comes down a little bit to a debate here. For me personally, I've gotten ahead with, or I've gotten like, you know, ahead and ran, you know, the precision one here for a long time, and I really liked it, but I know a lot of other people out there really like the weighted stock. So I feel like if you need some of these benefits here of this, you guys can go to run it. But for me personally, I found really great success running the precision, and it also just kind of slows me down a little bit less. This like decrease your ADS speed, and this actually doesn't. So it's kind of one of those things that, I mean, you guys can switch back and forth, but for me personally, I run the precision, but I know a lot of people out there really like the weight. It just comes down to personal preference. Now in the perk section here, I have some people that also, this is one of those things people like to debate, where they don't want to run like something like Vital, and they'd rather run something like maybe Focus or potentially like Nerves of Steel. Nerves of Steel, I ran this here more recently, and I do actually find it to be quite beneficial. So I would actually venture to recommend running Nerves of Steel, just because, you know, when you're actually getting shot at here and you're injured, you just pretty much are completely on target, and it almost eliminates any of that sort of hit flinch you'll get. And it definitely came in clutch here a couple of times when I was using it, so I really like that. And then in perk 2, of course, we have fully loaded, and fully loaded is just kind of like the way to go, just because there's nothing else in here that I personally feel is really all that good. So we're gonna run this. This is my full build here. Now let's move on to our next gun in our top 5 style video. Now let's take a look at a gun that actually got buffed here recently. Well, that is the Vargo 52, the Ferro Fluid. So this gun got buffed here within the Season 3 Reloaded update, which I'm pretty happy about. They nerfed it like in the previous one, they buffed it in this one. So let's hop on a build, because this is 100% going to be like a top tier meta gun to use, and it actually kind of still was anyway. So first thing, muzzle category, of course, GRU suppressor here. Like always, we've run this for a while, and of course, we run the GRU instead of the regular suppressor if we are making it a true AR, which we are. In the barrel section, we're throwing the 18.6 Task Force, and that's just kind of the way to go. It's the most effective barrel out there. It makes it the best AR it can be. In the underbarrel section, though, we're throwing the Spetsnaz grip here for horizontal and vertical recoil control. Like always, you don't need to fix pretty much what's not broke, so there's no reason to try anything else. In the magazine section, we're gonna go for that beautiful Spetsnaz 60 round mag. I absolutely love the 60 on this thing. It's got a pretty high fire rate, so having 60 rounds in the magazine is going to be pretty clutch, and I'd recommend to do that. And then, of course, the optics section, we're going to go through on that beautiful Axle arms 3 times. We've been running the Axle here for a minute on all of our Cold War guns, and of course, this is the exact build that this Ferro Fluid blueprint actually comes with, which is quite nice. You get a very nice looking gun and an amazing build, so I'm pretty happy about that. This is a gun you all should be using. Ferro Fluid, I'm happy it's back because they took it out, but I don't have that secret variant anymore, which is a bit of a bummer. All right, next up, we're going to take a look here at the Cooper Carbine. This got a buff here within the recent update, increasing its general bullet velocity, which is going to ultimately make this gun more effective. So let's hop into a build here for this. Muzzle category, of course, MX silencer. I mean, we've just been running that here for a minute. Now in the barrel section, we're going to throw on the Cooper Custom. This is the best barrel out there here for making this a true AR. I mean, you really can't complain with this. I mean, increased fire rate. I mean, it helps out with the reduced scope sway and gun bob, damage range. I mean, it's just the best thing out there. It's the bee's knees. So we run that. In the underbarrel section, though, we're going to go down here and run the M1940 enhanced stop. That's what we run pretty much on most of our ARs here, especially for the Vanguard ones, and of course even the SMGs. In the magazine, though, we're gonna throw on that 9mm 60 round drum. We've been running the 60 round drum here for a minute. It's kind of funny that you run the same sort of thing when you're trying to make this like an SMG versus when you're trying to keep it as an AR. It doesn't make sense to use a smaller ammunition type, but for whatever reason on this gun it actually does make sense. In the ammunition side of things, though, here we're gonna go throw on lengthened here for the increase in bullet velocity. Next up, in the rear grip section here, we're gonna throw on the leather grip here for the increased ADS speed and aiming stability. I really like this attachment for this gun. And then, of course, in the optics section, we're gonna go throw on that beautiful G16 2.5x. Like I said, for the STG, you guys could go run that 3 to 6x scope, but I do not personally believe it's really gonna be all that beneficial, so I just run the G16. And then, of course, in the stock section, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the Cooper 45W here, which is going to help us pretty much be more accurate over range, and I really, really like that. And, of course, down in the perk section, we're going to go ahead and run a tight grip as our very first one here for accuracy and recoil during sustained fire. This is going to help this gun just be an absolute pinpoint laser machine, and I find it to be a lot better than some of these other things in here. I've just found to be like my go-to perk. And of course, in perk 2, we're going to go through on fully loaded because, like I said, for the STG and pretty much a lot of these other Vanguard stuff, Vanguard guns, there's just not that much of a benefit of running anything else in the perk 2 slot, unless you got like some movement related stuff like quick or anything else like that. But this is my full build here for the Cooper. Absolutely love this thing. It got a buff and it'll be a lot more viable to use here in Warzone. All right, next up, let's give you guys a build here for the well gun. They did a buff / a nerf to this thing, which I'll explain here within the video. So let's get into it. First thing, muzzle. Of course, we're going to throw on that recoil booster. We can run that for a lot of our SMGs. And then in the barrel section, we're running the Gawain short barrel here. What they did is they kind of decreased the fire rate of this thing from like, they decreased it from a 10% increase down to a 6%, but then they also took off the damage range penalty on this. So I don't really know. It's kind of a buff, kind of a nerf, but it still is going to work out very nicely. And I've tried it out in game here and it works out perfectly fine. So I'd recommend run this. In the barrel section, though, we're going to go through on the M1940 enhanced stop. It's really good. So I just run that. In the magazine section, we're going to go through on the 7.62 Garanko 40 round mag. Pretty standard. We've run this for a while now, so no reason to switch that up. In the ammunition side of things, though, we're going to go run lengthened here. They did actually happen to add frangible into this. I just don't know exactly how good that is. I just kind of prefer to run lengthened, but I just want to let you guys know you can run frangible now. They did add that as a option here for the ammunition. I'm almost having like an aneurysm trying to talk here. Anyways, rear grip section here, we're gonna throw on the leather grip here for that ADS speed and aiming stability. And then of course, in the optics section, we're gonna go for that slate reflector here, which is just always like my go-to for this gun. I don't really find a reason to run something like the Nightar Model 47. It's not really my cup of tea. I just run the slate reflector as it's very easy to see out of, and I don't have any other obtrusions in my sights. In the stock section, though, we're gonna go run the remove stock here for that increase in movement speed, sprinting, move speed, and of course ADS speed. you lose a little bit of, you know, stability, of course, with having no stock, but I do believe that those are far worth, you know, the trade-off, all the benefits. And then, of course, the perk section here. First thing in this is going to be acrobatic here for the increase in movement, and of course sprinting move speed. And then for perk 2, we're going to throw on quick here for that increase in sprint speed. This is what I was talking about with that previous gun, is like if you got quick or something in here, that's good. I'd run that over fully loaded, of course, but you know, for a lot of our guns, we don't have that, but for this one we do, so we're going to take advantage and run that. This is my full build for the well gun. It's also been my meta setup. Definitely try it out. It's really, really solid. For our last gun here in today's top 5 style video, we're going to give you guys a build here for, of course, the C58. This gun got touched here ever so slightly, a tad bit of a nerf, but it's going to work out very nicely here within this update. It's personally also one of my favorite ARs to use besides the STG, so let's give you guys a build for this gun. First thing, of course, agency suppressor like always, and then in the barrel section, we're going to run the 18.5 task force. Don't got to spend too much time on this thing. I just think the task force has just been like the way to go for a long time now. In the underbarrel section, we're running the field agent grip here for horizontal and vertical recoil control. And then, of course, in the magazine, you have the option here to go for the 45 round drum or this Stenag 55. It comes down to personal preference at this point, just because both are very good, but stay away from going for something like the fast mag, because the regular magazine on this thing reloads incredibly fast. Kind of gives me like Modern Warfare 3 ACR vibes, you know what I'm talking about? It's incredibly fast, super quick. So I go for the 55, you know, more often than not nowadays, and that's just kind of like my go-to. I used to go, you know, pretty big heavy on the 45, but I kind of switched over to running like the bigger magazine. Like instead of running, you know, a 50, I run a 60 on my ARs, or the 45 or on the 60. I just been kind of going for the bigger magazines, as I'm trying to use this for more or less longer range, not necessarily close range. And it doesn't make much sense to gain that mobility back, but I'm going to be using this for longer range anyways. And then for our last attachment in here, of course, we're going to throw on the axle arms 3 times, and this is going to be it. I mean, it's a pretty standard build here for the C58. Still real good. Definitely try it out. Takes a little bit of recoil control, but you guys could definitely master it. With that being said, if you guys enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe, as notifications turn on, and I'll see you all later. Just on Noticeable Cap, don't be Randy, and I'm out. Peace.